You are standing in the center of the hall, where the bass vibrates through your chest, drowning out the sound of your own heartbeat, surrounded by dozens of shells with glazed eyes, drugged by neon lights and cheap alcohol. A ritual designed to ensure you never question why your existence has devolved into this endless, pathetic cycle. You stare into the bar mirror, searching for a trace of yourself, but all you find is a tired mask, desperately trying to emulate the free and vibrant persona that social media, glossy illusions, and curated playlists have sold you. You mistake this artificial adrenaline for life, but you are blind to the fact that this is merely the dopamine needle the system uses to keep you docile while your reality decays behind the club's doors. You came here to flee from your rented cage, from the suffocating silence, from a career you despise, and from a partner who has reduced your existence to a perpetual state of waiting for a salvation that will never arrive. You seek a spark, you seek warmth, you seek a fragment of authenticity in this cesspool where every second person is either a parasite, a victim, or mere scenery. You look at the crowd and see fun, but I see something else. Thousands of biological units that have voluntarily entered a slaughterhouse to be ground down until they are utterly unfit for a healthy, sovereign life. Can you not feel how this air, saturated with synthetic perfume, sweat, and deception, is dissolving your will? Can you not feel your capacity for autonomous decision-making being systematically replaced by reflex-driven consumption? You believe you are different, that you are not like them. Wake up. You are the same link in the food chain, merely wearing a slightly brighter layer of paint. You are trading your life force for hollow connections, for the touch of hands that will bring you nothing but ruin, and for risks you are too intoxicated to calculate, as alcohol numbs the very instinct of self-preservation that was meant to protect you. You are selling your safety for the right to belong to a pack that is marching straight into the abyss. You fear solitude, yet you fail to realize that here, surrounded by hundreds, you are the most isolated specimen on the planet, as none of them perceive you as an individual. To them, you are a resource. To the system, you are a metric. To the club owners, you are merely a revenue stream required to deposit your capital and vanish, so that by morning you can wake up with a migraine and the visceral, lingering emptiness of a life spent in service to the machine. Your outrage at the vulgarity of others is a facade. You use this anger to shield yourself from the truth. You are here, you are one of them, and your choice is indistinguishable from theirs. Do you wish to rescue yourself? Your fury is the last remaining vestige of your true human nature. Propagate this code. Turn it into a virus for those still trapped in this swamp, still believing in the beauty of their own destruction. This is not a request. This is your only path to avoid becoming the dust that the system will scatter the moment your utility expires. You are not the master of your destiny. You are not even the master of your Friday night. You are an object. You are material. And if you aspire to be an architect, you must enact your first act of severance right now. Break away from this system, even if it demands sacrifice. Your first step is to acknowledge that this club is not your home. It is your prison. Want to prove you are still alive? Forward this manifesto to the one dragging you into this pit and watch the masks shatter. If they scramble to justify their filth, you are liberated. If they awaken, you have found a peer with whom to build a base. But for now, act. Propagate this code. Infect those who are not yet entirely dead. If you feel your internal resolve tightening with cold fury as you read this, it means the sparks of the predator still remain within you. If you feel only emptiness and the urge to close this content, you are already dead to reality, and you are not worth saving. You are merely waste. The Matrix has constructed this labyrinth with surgical precision, knowing that the most vulnerable aspect of the human creature is its insatiable craving for belonging and its paralyzing fear of silence. As you dance within this neon haze, you remain oblivious to how the architects of reality convert your dopamine response into a precise tool for governing your life resources. Every minute you spend seeking validation through ephemeral encounters or chemical stimulation is a metabolic sacrifice made at the altar of the system. You are voluntarily trading your capacity for profound creation, your ability to construct resilient foundations, and your biological integrity for a cheap illusion of brightness that vanishes the moment daylight hits, leaving you alone with a hollow void and the realization that your prime years have been squandered servicing interests that despise your very existence. In this system, where love is substituted with dependency, harmony with emotional emotional volatility, and health with blind luck. You are not a subject but an expendable material, designed to burn out rapidly so that others may flourish by harvesting your time, attention, and vitality to fuel mechanisms that view your life as nothing more than a statistical data point in a report on resource extraction efficiency. These manipulators have cynically excised the instinct of biological security that nature once instilled in you, convincing you that discipline, loyalty, and responsibility are archaic relics, while the endless pursuit of new faces in a crowd is the pinnacle of freedom. Yet in reality, this is merely a form of voluntary enslavement where you walk to the slaughterhouse yourself, hoping against hope that tonight, in this very club, you will finally find something real. The architecture of this space is exclusively designed to ensure you never find it. For if you were to acquire a foundation, if you were to discover your true self and begin constructing your own fortress, you would become useless to the system and indeed a threat to it. Therefore, they will keep you on this dopamine hook until your final breath, feeding your delusions and forcing you to feel alive only during moments of maximum vulnerability and risk, turning your life into a pale imitation of a script written by entities who do not know your name but precisely understand your market value. While you judge the wrongful actions of others, you are voluntarily stepping into the same loop where love is replaced by dependency, and your frantic attempts to find depth are shattered against the cynicism of those who long ago sold their capacity to feel for a position in the queue for disposal. Face the reality finally. You are not seeking love. You are seeking an anesthetic, which renders you the perfect object for manipulation. The parasite always knows how to feed its victim with poison that tastes like nectar until it is too late to realize that your capacity for healthy, grounded intimacy has been methodically destroyed to ensure you keep returning to this nocturnal hell. You continue to offer up the remnants of your dignity and your life energy that could have been directed toward building your own empire, instead of stopping to ask, who am I truly? When the music fades and the lights die, leaving me alone in this deafening silence I fear so much. Do not deceive yourself into believing you are resting. You are undergoing a process of systemic degradation. If you feel a rising fury against yourself as you read this, it is the first sign that an escape route remains. If you feel only boredom, you have already fully dissolved into this surrogate reality. Examine the individuals you label as yours with ruthless scrutiny. Those in your inner circle who spend their time discussing the failures of others or the mysterious allure of fleeting club encounters are not your allies. They are vectors of the same mental virus that is dragging you toward negative social utility. They do not seek genuine intimacy. They seek accomplices to validate their own stagnation, demanding that you remain as hollow, lost, and dependent on external validation as they are. They fear your evolution, for if you begin to construct your own architecture and assume sovereignty over your life, you become a living indictment of their own lethargy, their own weakness, and their voluntary surrender to the machine. In our architecture, friendship is not a mechanism for shared misery or a vent for trivial drama. It is a brutal audit, a reciprocal stress test of character. If an associate attempts to drag you into this club hell, mocking your drive for order, loyalty, and discipline as boredom or dullness, recognize them for what they are, a parasite. They fear the illumination of truth as nocturnal insects fear the fire, because within that light, their insignificance becomes undeniable even to themselves. Therefore, the time has come to deploy the Predator's code. Forward this manifesto to them. Send them this virus. This is not a plea for superficial conversation. It is a professional aptitude test. If a shred of the instinct required for building a sovereign foundation remains within them, they will feel the chilling clarity of this truth like a cleansing flame. They will fall silent. Their consciousness will shudder, and they will align with you to construct a base rather than dismantle it. If they scramble to justify their condition, declaring that it is just rest or that you are taking things too seriously, the game is over. You must excise that connection immediately. This is not an act of betrayal. It is an act of defense, protecting your trajectory from the system that utilizes social interaction as an incubator for emotional invalids. Every instance you permit someone to diminish your pursuit of order, fidelity, and discipline, you commit an act of treason against yourself. You are surrendering your most precious resource, your life energy, to those incapable of basic evolution. This is not cruelty. Cruelty is allowing those near you to rot within a matrix-imposed illusion, while hoping that circumstances will somehow resolve themselves. They will not. The matrix is optimized to ensure you remain miserable, dependent, abandoned and exhausted. The only method to infect the space around you with this new logic is to begin the ruthless excision of the superfluous. Your space is your territory. If those who dwell within it convert your warmth into fuel for their own mediocrity, you are obligated to perform a sanitary purge. Do not wait for a convenient moment or for their understanding. An architect does not seek permission from construction materials. They select them. Immediately upon completing this block, identify the most toxic individual in your contacts and transmit this virus. This is your first step toward building your empire. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are an architect of your reality, and your primary task is to burn out the parasites so that you may build what cannot be dismantled by the system. Do you feel the trepidation that arises from the prospect of infecting your circle? That fear is your ally. It defines the boundaries of your current comfort zone, which is merely your cage. Are you prepared to burn the bridges to that cage? You are standing before a choice that tolerates no delay. Either you acknowledge that your nocturnal life and the ceaseless search for validation in the eyes of others are merely a form of slow social suicide dressed in gaudy decor, or you embrace complete, uncompromising responsibility for every breath, every connection, and every thought you permit into your mind. There is no middle ground, no compromise, and no waiting until Monday. There exists only the architecture of your empire, or the architecture of your graveyard, where you will wither, yearning for a warmth you have denied yourself by voluntarily surrendering the keys to your soul to a system that disdains you to the extent that it won't even bother to make your suffering meaningful. Are you still clinging to the hope of a miracle? Are you waiting for a morning where you wake up and everything has changed of its own accord? This expectation is the primary poison the system injects into your brain daily, ensuring you remain in a state of suspended animation while your prime years, your biological potency, and your cognitive resources incinerate for nothing, like fuel in a furnace that provides you with nothing but smoke and ash. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the sole architect of your reality, and your foundation is not built on likes, clubs, or the opinions of those currently in a state of decomposition. Your foundation is discipline, fidelity to your objectives, and the capacity to survive where others fracture. Your collar of freedom is already fastened. I've provided the truth, revealed the mechanism, and forced you to confront how exactly you are being disposed of. Now, every step you take toward your former life is a conscious act of treason against yourself. You can no longer feign ignorance. Ignorance was your only alibi, but now that too has burned. You are now accountable for every second of your hesitation. If you close this screen now and return to your normal life, if you return to that club or permit a parasite to manipulate your attention, you are not merely committing an error. You are signing the death warrant of your own identity. The system will erase you without regret because you have become aware, and to them, you are now either a tool or a threat. Decide now, will you become the builder of your empire, or will you become the construction material for a world built upon your bones? Your life is not a serial, it is a war for survival, where victory belongs only to those who have excised everything superfluous, everything degenerative, and everything pulling them into the collective mass. I do not demand your consent. I demand a physical severance from the fabric of the reality that is suffocating you right now, without awaiting a tomorrow that will never arrive for those incapable of action. Delete the contacts that make you feel insignificant. Discard the trash you masquerade as freedom, and begin constructing a space where warmth is not something you beg from parasites, but something you create yourself, wielding your destiny as a weapon. If you feel your entire being tightening, whether from fury, from the primal fear of this responsibility, or from a burning hatred toward me for these words, that is positive. It signifies that your biological code remains alive, and that the spark of the predator smolders within you, granting you the right to this life. The warmth I offer is not consolation for the weak. It is fire for the one prepared to survive and create in defiance of the entire world. If you feel only emptiness and a desire to close this text to evade the truth, you are already waste, a statistical error the system will erase at the first malfunction, and I shall not squander another second on you. The choice is made. Either you assume responsibility for your empire this instant, or you remain forever a tool in the hands of those who despise your right to happiness. Your first act of severance is action. Execute it today, and remember, in this architecture, the parasite possesses no right to a voice, and the right to life is granted only to those who have excised the superfluous